What's slowing your website down? A site that loads slowly is frustrating to the user. We're all impatient beings, and since the dawn of the internet we've been craving faster connections and quicker response times. It's no wonder that a slow loading website can have a negative impact on our marketing efforts by increasing our bounce rate and reducing the number of pages that people view on our sites when they visit. A slow loading website can have a bigger impact on overall user experience, giving users a bad impression of our business. If our website is difficult to use, it could translate into us being difficult to do business with, and ultimately affecting our conversion rates. To avoid any negative experiences on our website, we need to make sure that our site loads as quickly as possible, to avoid users hitting that back button before the content has a chance to load. In order to do this, we need to turn our attention to the technical subject of page speed optimization. Page speed optimization will not only improve your user's experience, it's also a Google ranking factor. The faster your website loads, the more Google will favour your site over your competitors. So there are two very good reasons to focus your attention on how fast your site loads. Checking your page load speed isn't simply a case of typing in your website into the address bar and timing how long it takes for it to load. As you've probably been on your website recently, many of your website's files will be stored in your browser's cache, meaning that it can load faster as it doesn't have to request as many files from the server. Sites that you visit often are likely to load faster, so instead you'll need to use a tool such as Google's Page Speed tool or GT Metrics. Both of these tools are aimed at developers, so if that's not your thing, don't be surprised if the results don't mean anything to you. They're both limited in the fact that you can only check one page at a time. So if you want a bigger picture in terms of how your website does as a whole, there's a tool at expert.com/page speed. It lets you check all the pages of a site in one test and then displays the results from Google's page speed tool. Here's some of the common issues we see on these page speed reports. Minify CSS or Minify JavaScript. To minify any code, whether it's CSS, JavaScript or HTML, is to reduce its size by removing unnecessary characters, spaces and comments. All these additional characters add to the file size and the time it takes the browser to load the file. So minifying your code makes sense. There are WordPress plugins that can take care of this for you, but we'd recommend a developer installs and tests these as they can have unwanted side effects. Leverage browser caching. Browsers have the ability to store files such as style sheets and JavaScript to save time when loading the website again in the future. The browser will look for a caching policy on your server which states if and for how long files should be cached or stored for. This issue will arise if you don't have a caching enabled or if your caching expiration is very short. Removing render blocking JavaScript. JavaScript is present on most websites, so this issue crops up a lot. When the browser is trying to render the content of your website, it has to stop every time it comes across a piece of JavaScript. Some scripts are required to be fully loaded before the browser can move on and load the rest of the page. This is why some JavaScript is referred to as render blocking, temporarily blocking your website from loading up. The solution to this can be to either make your JavaScript asynchronous or defer the loading of your JavaScript. Loading JavaScript asynchronously means the script is loaded without impacting the loading of other content, so it happens in the background. And deferring the JavaScript forces the browser to load the content first and then the JavaScript afterwards. Optimizing images. Finally, something most of us can do. Uploading your images as full-size JPEGs is simply a waste of resources if you only plan to display the image on your website at 600 pixels wide. Whilst you can use plugins to compress images and resize them in WordPress, some compression plugins will make your images look fuzzy and low quality. So you're best resizing your images in something like Photoshop, where you can control the quality as well as the file size. Improve server response time. The speed at which your server responds can be affected by a number of things, such as how much traffic you receive to your website, how many resources are required to load a page, and how your server is set up, whether it's a shared hosting or dedicated, for example. In order to improve the server response time, you'll need to identify what is slowing it down first, and then work to relieve that bottleneck. Enable compression. gzip is a type of compression used to reduce the size of HTML. Some hosting providers enable gzip by default, so you may already have this implemented. To test this, you can use a tool such as this one at giftofspeed.com/gzip-test. If you don't have gzip enabled, Gift of Speed offer an in-depth guide on how to do this using your .htaccess file, not for the novice developer. Reducing redirects. Redirects happen when someone types in a domain such as example.com and the browser redirects them to www.example.com. Some websites will have several redirects that take place behind the scenes before your page is loaded. Each redirect requires another request to the server and takes another few milliseconds of time, adding to your overall loading speed. Where possible, you should look to reduce unnecessary redirects. Utilize a content distribution or delivery network, or CDN. A CDN is a great way to relieve some of the burden of your large files and resources from your website's hosting server by placing them on an external CDN server, which is better equipped to deliver these files in a speedy manner. They can be especially useful if you're on a shared hosting server with limited storage and/or bandwidth. In short, there could be any number of reasons why your website is running slow, and more often than not, there are multiple issues causing a bottleneck. Page speed optimization is something to think of as a project you undertake to improve the speed of your website for your users' benefit, but should also be part of your ongoing SEO efforts to ensure your changes or additions you make to your website don't undo the page speed optimization work that you've done. Hope you found this video useful. Be sure to check out the links in the description below. Visit our blog for more content, sign up to our list and get that content delivered direct to your inbox. Don't forget to check out the Skittish Academy for more training on how to use digital marketing to generate leads for your business. Until next time, keep marketing.